Do you know what's the biggest difference, apart from the obvious one, money, between successful Poland and declining West? In Poland, every government is claiming to be part of the success, whether in the West, every government is blaming everyone else and saying they are the part of the problem, therefore a decline. A reality is like this. The successful story of Poland is only thanks to and because of all the Polish people, their hard work, commitment, resilience, resistance, desperation. And I'll tell you this about in a second. Whether in the West, all the decline we see, or the destruction of what was built is thanks to and because of all the leadership governments who lied to their own people, and they all brought it upon others. That's the truth, that's the reality, and that's the biggest difference. So I got two news, one bad, one good. The bad news is, I think West is heading to what Poland was in the 1990s. Okay, high crime, chaos, unemployment, no working services. We're almost there, right? But the good news is, we now have a blueprint of how to get out of it. Look at Poland. Look, I was born in Poland, in still communist Poland. I don't remember that much. I know stories from my friends and family. But I grew up in post-communist Poland, and it wasn't great, I have to say. It was a very difficult place to grow up. High crime, loneliness. It was Wild West at some points, really. I mean, no jobs, constant stress, misery. Everyone was worried. Alcohol, it's like it was really bad. But I'll tell you the story of how Poland actually became successful out of all of this misery, how we actually managed to get out, because it was not the government. And if everyone understands, if you understand for your own benefits, so you can actually get prepared for what's coming, and then we can understand how to actually fix the country, it's an important lesson. Okay, it's not just the usual headlines we see in the newspapers saying, oh, Poland just got this amazing whatever, like work ethic. Like, yeah, we do as well, but it started somewhere, somehow, right? So let me tell you how it all started, and we'll get to the point where it's actually now called the most successful country in Europe. Although I have another bad news, and if you watch my channel before, you probably know it. It's like, I feel like Poland has got no more room to grow. And looking at all the political decisions in Poland, it looks like they really want to join the rest of the Europe in their misery, right? In a very short time. But that's for a different video, for a different topic. So you see, growing up in Poland was something like this. I'll tell you a quick story about two shops, vegetable shops. I used to go with my mum. Next to each other, like next door. One shop was a lady, rude lady, mindset back from communist Poland. You would walk in, she was rude, she would treat you like shit. She was like, oh, she was the boss, and you were just bothering her. And my mum would go in, and she wanted to pick some veg. Let's say potatoes, and she would just touch them and trying to choose the ones she liked. And that lady would come out and say, oh, no touching, I'll do it for you, right? And then what she would do, she was cheeky. She would put a couple of 2, 3, 4 bad potatoes, like the ones nobody would pay for, at the bottom of the bag. And then on top, she would put the ones she could sell, and then she would charge for all of it, right? Then we would go back home. My mum would find out like she was peeling potatoes and say, oh my God, we're going to have to throw half of those potatoes in the bin because they're all black or something, right? And then she would go back, complain, and that lady would say, oh, that's not my fault, it's not true, blah, 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 right? So she was very defensive and like blaming on the customer. So my mum decided to go to the next shop next door. So she did, and then there was another lady, very friendly lady, all right, darling, all right, love, it's like super nice. You walk in, you feel welcomed. She was like, yeah, please choose whatever you want. You could actually choose your veg and fruit, put it in a bag. She would just, treat you well. You would go back, we would go back home. And even if something was not great, we could always go back and say, sorry, this one was whatever. You could complain, and she would just accept it, and she would apologize, and she would try to make it up, right? It's like, work it out, the solution. Guess which business survived, right? Yeah, the second one. The first one collapsed pretty fast. As I was growing up, I saw that second business going from one shop, one lovely lady working there, to having 2 shops in the same small market, to having few shops across the whole city, and then expanding further. And in a very short time, in a few years, they become very, very successful, right? The owners. And they were still nice people to the very end. I mean, I don't know what's going on now. Obviously, I haven't been in Poland in years, but it was for many, many years like this. You see, the success of Poland comes to three main things which really happened. So the first thing was, Poland was at the rock bottom. There was nothing else to go. You could either stay there and just basically rot, just perish as a country, I suppose, right? There's nothing, literally nothing. Or you could actually go up. And if to go up, you have to make it yourself. So people who were resilient, who would not want to change, were like this lady from the first shop. They would just essentially be removed by the system. And that was like many people got into alcohol problems. You know, there was many problems across the whole society, but that was a part of getting out of the trouble. Like if you get yourself in a position where it's like so bad, you can't fix it by just being nice. Like, sorry, this is what we have to accept in the West. There is no fixing without actually accepting and taking pain on. So because there was nowhere else to go, Poland decided to go up. People had to work out of desperation to pay their bills, to get their money, to support themselves and their families. And there was very little regulations. Everything was actually deregulated by the government. That was the only, I think, one good thing they've done. Like they removed all the regulations, the taxation, who cares, whatever, just get on with it, because we know there's no other way. And people were just somehow managed. People were just trying to sell, buy whatever they could. It was just, everybody was an entrepreneur back then, right? It's like literally everyone. There was like old people selling apples, eggs, anything. You could go to one of those local markets and you would just buy anything you wanted, right? Including the illegal stuff, whatever. It was Wild West. But that was one thing. The second thing was the people, actual people behind it, not the governments, as they like to claim. You know, this saying where success has got many fathers, but failure is an orphan. The governments are trying to as well. They're trying to tell everyone they are part of the success story. No, they're not. In fact, for many, many years, over the last 3 or 4 decades, every government I remember was trying to do something stupid, which would completely destroy the country and the growth. Only because Polish people were kind of a little bit like, we're not going on with it. We're going to do our own thing. They managed to push through, get to the point where it is now. The Poland, the way it is now, it was built by everyday average Polish people they've had no choice. That was the only way forward for them, to build their lives from nothing. And the third thing it was the actual, which is very important to understand. It's anything not many people are mentioning, is Poland refused to accept euro. So Poland kept their own currency, which is called Polish zloty. So all these three things were actually main factors of success of Poland, in my opinion, to how it looks now, right? Now, if you look at the Europe, we in the West, not only Europe, but in the West, we get into this decline and this situation where it's all falling apart in front of us and we kind of don't know what to do. The good thing to do is to look at what happened and what worked in Poland, okay? Because right now, the way Europe is going, the way the West is going, or even England is going, it's going towards a cliff. A cliff is just in front of us. And unless we're going to change this trajectory very soon and do something, we're going to jump off this cliff very soon. Now, maybe that's what's needed. Maybe we need to get off that cliff, hit the rock bottom, and be like Poland in the 1990s, because that's why I fear it's coming. In order for everyone to just kind of like get off, hello, wake up from this dream, nice dream you've had over the last 50 years. Welcome to reality. And reality is a little bit different. Life is not unicorns and rainbows. It was for many countries, for many decades, but that time is ended, right? It's changed now, that's finished. You can't think about this anymore. So if you understand that the last few decades were extremely comfortable for many countries and people got comfortable, you will understand the only way forward is to actually accept what needs to be done, and that is you, me, every single one of us has to make some effort, okay? The biggest mistake I see right now in the West is people claiming that the next government somehow magically will fix it. No, it can make it maybe slightly easier or slightly harder, but we have enough evidence over the last few decades that governments will not do it on its own. Quite likely they're going to do things against us. They're going to come to the power again and start lying, introducing new regulations, new this, new that. Exactly the opposite of what they should do if we really wanted to become another successful story as Poland is. I don't know if it can be done. I don't know. It will eventually become doable once we hit the rock bottom. I don't think we are far from, especially in England, we just need some proper financial crisis and that's it. That'll be rock bottom for everyone. I don't think we're far from it now. And if once it happens, then we're going to have to look for solutions. Poland is a blueprint of what to do, how to do it, and which way to go, okay? Now, for each one of you separately, individually, this is an important lesson of not trusting, not putting all your hopes and expectation into somebody else's hands, right? The story of Poland, a successful story, was a person, everyday people like you, like everyone around you, like your family. And I'm talking, even if you have no money, you are really in, bad situation, bad place, people like you, they had to take things in their own hands and change them around to build it. And maybe they had to go for 5-10 years building it so their kids would have better, but that's where it led to. We have to understand that the success of anything, any company, any country, and anything takes time and effort. It doesn't happen overnight. You can't just elect, I don't know, reform UK, reform or Labour, whoever. It's just like, hey, now we're gonna fix it. Like, no, nothing's gonna get fixed until we do things which need to be done. They can only help, or they can do things against us. Like, it would be helpful if they remove some regulations. Yes, please. If they would tax people less. Hey, yes, please. We would invite more, business, more capital, whatever. Like these are the things government can help with. Unfortunately, Labour is doing the exact opposite, which push us even more towards the cliff or the rock bottom. Maybe we're already off that cliff. I don't know, in the free fall. Let me know if you think this is where we are right now. But without us actually doing things, without us going out there and trying to make a difference, nothing's going to change. And this is the biggest lesson of Polish success, okay? Success behind Poland and why it took relatively short time, only a few decades. Now, you see, the bad news is, like I mentioned, is it looks to me like Poland has got very little more, there's not much more room to grow for the country, for the economy, and all the decision makers, politicians are constantly trying to push Poland back into hands of Europe. Say, hey, the misery loves company. So if they're struggling, I mean me, like us, England, France, Germany, and the rest, you're not going to be thriving on your own. Come and join us in the misery, right? And that's what I see is happening. You see, the downside of Polish independent and resilience mindset is that they do not care as much about who is in power, really, because they do their own thing. But because of that, and it being used over and over, we had the same politicians in Poland for the last few decades, like literally the same faces, not just parties, the same people, right? It's the same guy, it's few people, same people, been there since 1989, even from before. Right? So these people have no interest about first leaving their place, giving the power to somebody else, but also they have no interest about people itself. They have interest about something else. They are buddies with politicians, countries, and all of that, right? So because Poles are good on their own, fixing problems, good work ethic, hardworking people, they don't care much who's whatever they told us, we tell us we're going to do our own thing in Poland, right? And then it comes to this times like now where every single decision made by Polish politicians is pushing Poland further into this decline of the rest of the West. And the successful story we've seen for the last few decades is in a very, very big risk, a danger of actually ending up in one of those, the people who are at nothing, they win a lottery or scratch card or something, Euro Millions, and then 5 years later they go back to nothing, broke, even although they have no family and they're addicted and all of this, right? It's like I fear this is where Poland might end up. It's like this story of success from nothing to riches and then back to nothing with more problems. And now the problems, of course, is the conflict on the border and some other things. So this is the story of success of Poland. It was not because of the government. It was not because of the... Well, there's one thing. EU. EU had a big impact. We see that, yeah, okay. EU had a big impact on the money-wise, right? Because at some point... So once Poland went past that initial stage when there was nothing, and actually first businesses were built and people started having things, then Poland joined the EU, and that was the time where there was a boost in the money, boost in freedom of movement. There was Poland open, the West open to Poland, so we could actually go to other countries, learn and prosper, whatever. Right? That was a time where It wasn't responsible for, so I'll say, but it helped. But now that is also a problem right now, because the Polish success at some point became so dependent on the rest of the Europe that Poles, from all these amazing people I told you at the beginning, like, hey, we can do all by ourselves and just coming up with ideas, they become kind of comfortable with depending on, hey, we can just sell to them, or we can just produce for them, right? Like the West. We can produce for a German car manufacturer and they're going to pay top money. We stay here, it's all great. Now the problem is, Europe has been in decline for some time. Poles in Poland kind of like trying to be in denial about this. And this already has, and it will have even more direct impact on Polish economy and the Polish success story, right? So there are dangers ahead. Okay, so the story is great. It was a great last few decades, but instead of getting ready as a country to prepare for the down times, the worst time, the bad days, dark days, Poles decided to just celebrate more their own success and just keep building, and it's going to be fantastic without actually realizing the world has changed. So take from this couple of lessons. Number one, there is no government coming to save us. It can make it a little bit harder, a little bit easier. They are good when it comes to restrictions, regulations, taxation, but that is not growth. The story of Poland, the successful story, was built on the opposite, on less government, less taxes, more failures. Everybody was trying their best and failing and doing again and again, because there was a necessity of this, right? It wasn't just I wanted to, like nowadays people want to do business. No, it was the only way of making it happen. The danger, of course, was becoming comfortable and joining too much into hands of Europe and depending on Europe's success, when Europe became so lazy that they forgot about their own innovations, about their own progress, and they became, they got into this complete decline. Now this is now spilling across all other countries depending on it, which obviously Poland is part of. This is what's coming for Poland, I suppose, but for us in the West, what was in Poland in the 1990s, that's what is ahead of us. That's my guess. If you want to prepare for it, start thinking independently. Think about people around you. Think who you can work with, what you can do yourself, apart from just going to your job, because your job might not be there soon. Maybe just AI, maybe tech, maybe just declining economy, falling apart economy. So don't despair. Look at Poland. It can be done, but in order to make it done, it's happening. It has to happen in your head first. Okay, you're gonna have to accept it. And accept the decline. Do not think about running away. Well, if you do, whatever. But it's like, how do you position yourself? Now is the time. And to do it, speak to people, meet people, go out there, look around you, be calm, but stay aware. Be aware. Keep your eyes open, because things are changing very fast. And the successful story of Poland, my bet is within 3 years, it's going to be completely 180. It's going to go from there to there. And it's probably going to be accelerated because of the conflict, but we'll see. Anyway, if you like this video, please leave me a like. Consider subscribing to my channel. If you're not subscribing, thank you very much for all your support, every likes, all the comments. I'm reading all the comments. So if you have anything to say, please leave me comments below the video. Please be respectful. And yeah, stay positive. Keep your eyes open, but stay positive. It's going to be okay. I'll see you soon. Cheers.